Hi everyone, I think I'm live on the right group, Essential Oil Health Study. Hi, my name is Victoria Groom and I'm one of the essential oil coaches. I'm so excited to have everyone here experiencing these oils in the various different protocols. And I'm here in a more general capacity because I want to explain to you a little bit about what is in your bottles. Now, be honest with me, how many of you, when you got your study packs, thought, oh, is that it? You got some very tiny little bottles, some dram bottles, some little rollerball bottles, and there's not a huge amount of product in there, is there? Well, the secret is in the purity and potency of doTERRA essential oils. I certainly got tripped up by it myself when I first got my first few oils. And you only need a very small amount for it to be effective. And the beauty of that too, of course, is that it makes it affordable. So if you're looking at the price per drop, every 15 milliliter bottle contains 250 drops, and every 5 milliliter bottle about 80. So how are they so pure, and how are they made to be so potent? Well, the purity is only half the equation. But the thing about that is that it's really important because it's estimated at the moment that about 95 to 98% of essential oils on the market are not pure. They are adulterated in some way, whether it's just a small amount of pure oil in the bottle and it's topped up with a carrier oil, or worse, whether it's filled up with some kind of toxic filler to make it even cheaper. So you've got to be very careful about where you get your oils from. The industry is not regulated, and this is why you will see 100% pure written on a bottle when it actually isn't, unfortunately. So this is why about 8 years ago, I think doTERRA went down the path of building their own testing facilities, of outsourcing, I think 3 out of the 5 tests to independent facilities so that everything could be verified and everything is traceable. On the bottom of every bottle is a number, a batch number, and you can go to a website called source2u.com, which will tell you exactly what's in the bottle, what tests have been done, everything up to gas chromatography, and where it comes from. But the second part of the equation is something that's often missed, and that's the potency. So the reason that in a 5-day protocol, you only need a small amount of oil is the potency. So what makes doTERRA essential oils so potent? It's in something called a method that doTERRA use called co-impact sourcing. This is where they partner with farmers, harvesters, growers across the world to source the oils that you're now using. And they use something called biodynamic harvesting. This is key because by partnering with the experts at the source, using the parts of the world that the plants are native to, rather than just the cheapest agricultural land, for example, they can get the knowledge of centuries, of families, of the land that says we know when to harvest, and it's then tested in the facilities, of course, to check for the potency and purity. They harvest the plants at the exact right time, the right season, even the right time of day, so that the chemical composition of those oils that you're now using are at the maximum, are at the optimum, I should say, for effectiveness. So the way that they do that is also by being able to work in cooperation with the farmers and harvesters. So they have been working on big projects of job creation in rural areas. They work on long-term sourcing contracts with partners, and they've created cooperatives to share the benefits with the harvesters and the growers. I'm going to be sharing shortly with you, hopefully if my technical prowess permits it, a video on how doTERRA source frankincense in Somalia. And this particular story touches me, and I know a lot of others feel the same way, because this particular area of the world, there used to be an awful lot of what I'll call middlemen who used to pitch different tribes against each other to get the cheapest price for the resin and put them up in competition against each other. they wouldn't pay them to take the harvest to the distillery. And if the harvest failed, they wouldn't get paid that year. As you can imagine, that led to a very negative community environment, and also to people who couldn't put food on the table. So what doTERRA did in this particular village, they went in and they cut out the middleman, and they set up a cooperative between the tribes and pay them fairly, pay them whatever happens to the harvest, and fund their travel to the distillery. So it's a very different ethical way of bringing those oils into your bottles. And if you're anything like me, you care about that. And if you're anything like me in terms of understanding the energy of us all as a collective, the energy of how something is made affects the product. So for me, knowing that it's pure and potent and sourced ethically is what really makes it a powerful product. So some of the oils that you're trying at the moment, lavender is sourced in Bulgaria, copaiba, one of my favorites, the Amazonian rainforest of Brazil, peppermint in the US, lemon in Sicily, and wintergreen, which is a key constituent of your deep blue rub, those of you using the oils for the pain protocol. Wintergreen is a key constituent of that oil, and wintergreen is sourced in Nepal. So you can do your own research and have a look at how these oils are made. There is, I think, a YouTube channel called doTERRA Essential Oils. And I'm just going to mention, because I've talked about ways that you can research these oils yourself, I'm also going to mention a website called pubmed.gov that you might have come across. Because if you want to really research how to use these oils and how they are made, you can go to the medical side of things and plug in, for example, with frankincense, you'd need to plug in the botanical name Boswellia. Just look on the side of your bottle and you'll see what the botanical name is. And you'll find out all the research that's been done on that particular botanical. Remember, we can't talk about a lot of the health benefits because our hands are tied by compliance, but the research is out there. So I do encourage you, especially on frankincense, actually, to do your research. So let me see if I can share with you the frankincense story. And you can see for yourself. Okay, bear with me a second. That is obviously finished and gone on to the next one. Is that the right one? Let's see, I think it's the longer one. There we go.
I was amazed at the place. I wondered how anything could survive. It was so hot, maybe about 130 degrees Fahrenheit on the ground there, and almost no vegetation. It's just such a barren, hard place. It was different in Somalia. It's a really hard part of the world, and the people live a very hard life.
The Sinag region is where the Almadog mountain range is, and all the residents come out of this area. And a third of the population lives there, and it's their only source of employment and access to any sort of resources.
They have no other industry that they can depend on other than the frankincense industry. We had to disrupt what existed there. We had to change things.
Dave Sterling and Emily Wright went to northern Somalia and Bosaso first, before doTERRA really had any strong initiatives happening in that region. And what they saw gave them the idea that we can really make a big change in this region. And they gave us the direction to, you need to go there and you need to fix some stuff and make it better, because there's a huge need.
We had to give them that seed of hope. And it's been amazing to see the change that has happened in just a few years.
anigu naftayda waxa la yidhaha cabdillahi saciid cawad carraale ninkan ana dhalo maxamed cabdillahi baa la yidhahdo ana dhalo waday dhammaan tuwadaran wadi annagoo soo iminka un soo xirannay oo buurtiga nimi iminka xilli dheer maanta ma kormeer ku soo marray un baa noo tuwada marka ilaa 3 awow bay soo manafacsanayeen soo dhaqmay way lahaayeen beertan la iska daba dhaxlay qoonurma qoonka si dhaxlay marka shaqadaydu laasni waa shaqada lacag fiican hadda iibkii duuma hayno laakiin mar aan marka iibka loo helo sina shirkad loo furo iibsato maalgashiga oo lacag kula timaado wax ka iibsato wax samaal geliya oo lacag kuu siiya ma jiraan laakiin waxaad helaysaa cid ka iibsatay markaad haysatay diyaar ku tahay.
What you have are individual harvesters who live in villages and will go collect from a region that they have access to by tribal right, and will then sell to shopkeepers in their village, who then sell down to middlemen who eventually get all that resin to a port and sell it to the Europeans, who they are to us and such. This was all happening without any real organization. And unfortunately, it left the harvesters at a real disadvantage because they had no idea the value of their product. They have no protection. They have no real bargaining power. The harvesters were really getting pennies for their resin.
At the time, it was 0.8 cents per kilo, but there was huge, vast amount of resin moving out, and the harvester was being cheated by the middlemen, and all this resin was gone to UAE, to Yemen, to all these other places.
We moved them out of the way, bypassed them, and went directly to the people, formed the cooperatives. No one has ever done that before, to have these landowners and chiefs together, working together in a cooperative. It's never happened in their history, in fact.
One of the benefits of being on the ground and getting to know the area and how the industry works, you can immediately find ways to improve it. We thought that there'd be a great benefit to having some more organization. And so we have built warehouses throughout the mountains and large collection sites that function as kind of a co-op, and that are organizing harvesters, villagers, shopkeepers, and other traders throughout the industry into kind of one network that is working together and collectively. We're now employing thousands of women who are cleaning the resin, making sure they have safe conditions, and are also getting paid well. And this organization has done a lot of things, not only to improve the supply chain, but to provide much more security and employment and fairness for more of the actors in the business.
This has required a tremendous amount of building trust and relationships with the many clans that are involved, all the way to coordinating and collaborating with the government in sustainability initiatives that they are working on to ensure that the trees can be around for a very long time.
I want to see that tree real close, as close as possible, okay? Right there?
Yeah.
That's a carteri that's dying.
If a tree is over harvested, what we mean by that is that there's too many cuts on the tree, and that the way that the cuts are made are too deep. If there's too many cuts, if they're too deep, if they're too close to the roots, all of these things can lead to mortality and death for that tree. doTERRA reached out to me based on my work and wanted to know how to collaborate and how to help. That's what we need more of. We need more companies to follow this lead and to participate in coming up with solutions and strategies that support a robust frankincense economy and long-term sustainability and support for the communities who deliver this raw material to the world.
We feel very responsible to make sure that we can maintain the sustainability and do it in a way that is going to be long-term beneficial for the people and the trees.
It's been amazing to see the change that has happened in just a few years. To look at the women who didn't think that anything was going to change in their life, and to now be able to come in and pay them a fair wage that they can depend on year after year after year, to pay their husbands a fair wage to go out and harvest these trees that have been passed down from father to son, from generation to generation, and to educate their children, to give them a chance to truly be able to change their circumstance. And we are all the beneficiaries to continue to use this amazing, beautiful oil.
Through schooling, through supply of medicine and food and fair wages and better work environments, I think the work that has been done there has been critical and will be long lasting.
So I've seen that quite a few times now, and it always makes me feel quite emotional. And I think it's important to add that doTERRA don't go in and interfere with economies. They very much partner. It's a symbiotic relationship. The farmers, the harvesters, the growers, they know what they're doing, and without their expertise, you know, doTERRA can't make the oils. So doTERRA brings what they can, which is investment and trust and faith and organization, and the farmers bring their expertise. So you'll have noticed that they've built schools and hospitals. There is an arm of doTERRA which is called Healing Hands. Over the last 10 years, they have raised $30 million for projects such as that. And I just wanted to add just one little point too, that the School for Girls and Boys, when they always ask each community what it is they need, you know, it's not up to doTERRA to decide that, obviously. And this particular one in Somalia said, well, we would like to have a school for boys, please. And doTERRA said, well, we would love to do that for you, but please could it be a school for boys and girls? So, you know, they have, their work is very much an holistic, they have an ethical mission. And now that they are big enough financially, they are really making that work. And of course, they call the benefits working on both sides of the bottle. And I like that because it benefits us and it benefits the people that you see, the experts who are bringing those oils to us. Okay, so thanks very much for watching. I hope you found it interesting. If you have any questions, Debbie and myself and the other oils coaches are around all week. Hope you're enjoying your oily usage, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.